Hello everyone, this is Kino Restorative Tarot, Kino KRT. I hope you're all doing well today. And today we have a pick a card reading for you. And the title is, what is it that I need to heal more from? How can I heal? How can I heal better? What's going on? If there was some relationship unfinished business with relationships from the past, how can I move on, how can I heal from that? So that's what we're talking about today. And we got 3 cards, 3 piles, is 1, 2, and 3, and let's get to it. Thank you, God. God, please come bless this reading, provide us with structure, with wisdom, with calmness, with peace, and let us be in tune and in a good relationship with ourselves. Archangel Michael, please come down, help us stay within our bodies, let us focus, give us wisdom, so we can provide the best advice for our viewers. Thank you, God. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Please, Archangel Michael only, and God, come down, and thank you, God. Amen. All right. This is for pile the greenstone. Let's see, what is going on? How can we heal? How can we heal? What is it that we need to heal next? What is it that we need to do in order to heal next? What is it that we need to do in order to heal next for the green pile? Let's see. All right, so we got a couple of cards here. Let me just lay that down. Ego. Alright. What does this pile need to know? What does this pile need to know about their own healing journey? What does this pile need to know about their own healing journey? What does this pile need to know about their healing journey, Archangel Michael? Archangel Michael, please come down. Wow, this is beautiful. Alright, so this is for the blue pile. This is pile number 1. And what do we have here? Oh yeah, by the way, I was supposed to tell you guys, this is Kino KRT, Kino Restorative Tarot. On this channel, I blend in a modernized version of psychobiosocial and spiritual model. Please subscribe, comment down below, see if any of this resonated with you. I'd love to have my engagement to be up. And, you know, build my channel. Anyway, with that being said, let's get to it. So for my blue pile, I think this is lapis lazuli, right? For the blue pile, it sounds like, it really does feel like that you guys are healers, actually. Not only that, there are I see some things about family, like family dynamics, that there was not a good, happy childhood back when we were growing up. And because of that, it has led you to almost shut down emotionally because of the conflicts or the unhappiness that has accompanied you growing up, right? And I have this inkakanke. It says, all of my suffering has led me here in this very moment to deliver this very specific message to you. Our suffering is meaningful. It seems like that despite all the unhappiness and all the basically emotional trauma that you guys have suffered, you have found a lot of meanings in finding meaning in our own trauma narrative, and recovering from trauma is very important because it gives us a sense of agency, a sense of autonomy, a sense of power. And it seems like that in this journey, you guys really had to take a good look at who you are and what it is that you do, and how can you heal, how can you be a better person, not only to yourself, right, to your inner being, but also to the people around you. So there were several moments of ego dissolution, like dissolving your own ego and look at your life from a metacognition type of perspective. So looking at your life objectively. And you guys are very objective, actually. You guys are incredibly intelligent, very goal oriented. You have a vision of the things that you want to do, how you want to do it, and then you work really, really hard to achieve whatever it is that you wanted. And in this context, it's your own healing journey. And that's because we actually have a wise teacher slash professor here. You guys really had to internalize all of those suffering and turn them into lessons, into digestible lessons that you can teach to other people around you. So I would not be surprised if you guys are within the helping profession. So for example, guidance counselors, mental health counselors, mental health therapists, clinicians, or teachers, like physical, like actual teachers, professors, that you've gotten really high education, master's level, doctorate level, because of everything that has happened to you when you were younger, if that makes sense. So for example, if a good example would be if you saw your mom fighting with your dad because of money a lot when you were younger, so and when you grow up, you recognize the importance of having good finances. So you dedicate a lot of your time into sorting out your finances, or dedicated a lot of time to just become financially independent. So that's what I mean when I say that your past impacts your current and future decisions, right? And the next step of healing really, really is that because you guys are so logic based, are so almost like crown chakra based, that you guys are a little bit far from your heart chakra, like to be heart centered. It seems like that a lot of times, you know, between an emotional decision that is intuitive versus a logical decision, you guys always pick the logical decision, which it has benefited you in the past, because, you know, those logical decisions probably led you to go see a therapist, right? And talk about what has impacted you when you were younger, or whatever past relationships that you've had. Those relationships has impacted you to become who you are today, right? And it seems like that what Archangel Michael is saying, that at some point you might need to let down your logic a little bit, so you can really make intuitive decisions. So this is the thing, right? Whenever we are traumatized, when we are younger, preteens, maybe childhood, we actually go through trauma. What really does is that it disconnects the relationship we have with ourselves, and also it disconnects our relationship that we have with other people, because the internalized message is that, oh, whenever I become emotionally close to someone, I'm getting punished emotionally. So this person is going to make me unhappy, or this person is going to, God forbid, alleged for entertainment purposes only, if I get close to this person, they're going to abuse me. I'm not saying that whoever, you were abused just for entertainment purposes. I'm just using that as an example, right? And so because we're so disconnected from our own emotions, in a way, it's a survival mechanism, right? It makes us become more logic oriented. So we're very, very, very intelligent, very school smart, and even very street smart, because you had to rely on your logic to survive whatever harrowing experiences that you had to go through as a child, right? With that being said, now that we're older, we're an adult, our propensity to make logical decisions sometimes might interfere with the connection we have with ourselves. So too much logic, not enough intuition. Intuition is related to our emotions. So what the angels are kind of saying that it will benefit you a lot more if you start to almost rely on your intuition, or to learn how to trust your intuition more, because sometimes your intuition is overshadowed by the logical side that you have, and that's another part. See, we have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups, sometimes he's like a very fantasy-based, almost unreal. Like his perception of the world is almost too idealistic, too optimistic. In this context, however, what they're really, really saying is that you should lean into the Knight of Cups energy more, because for you, it would not become unrealistic. It will actually balance out whatever logical mind that you have. A lot of times when we have unintegrated trauma that happens, that we, especially if there's a history of abuse, survivors really start to rely on their logic and cannot stay in touch with their own inner emotional landscape, because to have emotions during a time of hardship is actually to our detriment. Evolutionarily speaking, it's just not good, right? We need to rely on our logical self in order for us to grow. With that being said, that's what you had to forsake. You had to give up your almost like inner emotional person. So anyway, the next step for our healing for this pile is to really lean into your emotions a little bit more. And I do see you healing. I do see you going through this healing journey. Although I feel what the Archangel Michael is saying, that sometimes you're too closed off, because to be emotional really does mean that you will get hurt. That's what we have with the Four of Pentacles here. And Archangel Michael is really trying to say, if we lean into our emotional self a little bit more after we have physically gotten out of a bad situation, let it be family trauma or like an abusive relationship, after we get out of that situation, we can finally feel safe in this world and feel like we can bring out our emotional self, because the quality of your life will actually increase by a lot. I hope that makes sense. The quality of your life will increase, and when we shut down bad emotions, we are also shutting down good emotions. We shut down our emotions so we will not experience pain, but at the same time, we might not be able to fully experience happiness, if that makes sense. So yeah, anyway, I do see you guys going on a journey of self-discovery, especially leaning into your emotional side. And good luck, my lapis lazuli pile. And we're going to go to the next pile. Thank you. Archangel Michael, please come down, give us clarity, give us some wisdom. What's going on with this pile? What is it that they need to do next to heal? What is it that they need to do next to heal? What is it that they need to do next to heal? What is it that they need to do next? Okay, all right. Okay. Father, Lady, lovers, most corrective experience, rejection sensitivity. What is it that this pile needs to know about their own healing journey, Archangel Michael? What is it that they need to know about their next healing journey? What is it that they need to know about their next healing journey? What is it that they need to do for their next healing journey? All right, everyone, this is the pile for this green stone, all right? Hello, everyone, this is Kino KRT, Kino Restorative Tarot. On this channel, we use, I use a modernized version of psychobiosocial and spiritual model to bring clarity using tarot cards. And if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Comment down below if this reading resonated with you. I would love to increase my engagement and build up my channel. with that being said, let's get to it. I have not figured out for this pile if you guys are currently in this relationship, because it feels like that you guys are in Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so it sounds like that you guys are working on this particular relationship that you have with someone, and it is actually a runner and chaser dynamic. So what's happening, right, is that we have the forgive ancestral trauma. Between pain and happiness, choose happiness. So there's something going on with the generational, with the relationship, that the relationship dynamic that's occurring within your family. It was a repeat of, say, for your mom, the relationship you have with your mom is actually a repeat cycle of your mom's relationship with her mom, which is a grandmother. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of generational dynamic that has been passed down to you. And because of that, because your grandmother did not do the work or your mom did not do the work, now you have inherited this type of almost chasing after people who are not emotionally available to you, because that did not occur a lot. There was not a lot of emotional support within the household growing up as a child. So unconsciously, what's happening is that you're attracted to people who are incapable of providing you with emotional support, for a couple of reasons. One is because it is very familiar to you, because it has happened growing up in the household. Therefore, it's not a red flag to you that people are emotionally unavailable. It's more a comforting and a comforting experience for you. Number one. Number two, to be in this runner chaser dynamic where the other person is not capable of providing emotional support to you is actually a repeat of a generational trauma. So unconsciously, when we do this, Freud actually said this, Sigmund Freud, right? He called this symbolic reenactment. And the reason why we're participating in trauma reenactment or symbolic reenactment is because unconsciously we think, if we get into the same situation again, perhaps this time we can change the situation. It's our attempt at mastering whatever childhood trauma or unfinished business that we had before. And unless we resolve this trauma, we will continue to get ourselves into similar situations, because it is our unconscious attempt at mastering our own terror, suffering, and pain. It's like our brain is fantastic. It's really beautiful. It does things that we don't understand. But anyway, so that's what it is, right? There's a lot of chasing after people who is honestly, with the cup and bucket card right here, they're really not capable of giving you the emotional support that you need. And then when that happens, it actually triggers you, because you have a high rejection sensitivity due to unresolved businesses at home while growing up, right? And those dynamics are not your fault. I just want to say, it's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're faulty. It's not because you're unworthy of love. That's not what it is. Those dynamics happened because your grandmother or grandfather, they did not do their inner work. And so your mother or your father inherited those types of dynamics. And then your mom and your dad, they did not do the inner work, and so here you are. But judging by the fact that you're here on this channel, I'd say that, you know what, you're here to do the inner work. Does that make sense? You're ready and you're available. I actually see you working really hard. I see that a lot of times it's very emotionally overwhelming for you to be with people, let it be romantically or even friendship-wise, because you're very, like, you get there's emotional regulation. There are some challenges with emotional regulation skills, because it was never taught to you growing up. You never saw your mom or your dad or your grandfather or grandmother, whoever, your caregiver, they never taught you how to safely approach your own emotions, and therefore as a result in your adulthood you get overwhelmed a lot, right? So a lot of anxiety, a little bit pessimistic about how the world is, which again, it's not your fault that you have inherited these types of outlooks of life, right? You had no choice. You were a child born into this family dynamic. And so because of that, it's very, like, you're very, very sensitive and you're very intuitive. You have a very good read onto people, right? And in a way that what really requires, you really need some soulful healing, like spiritual soulful healing. When I tell people that this channel is a biopsychosocial spiritual model of healing, is because within normal mental health counseling world, there's only biopsychosocial model, right? That biologically you have inherited certain genes. Socially, you learned to, like, these genes are expressed, and in a social situation you learn certain dynamics, and because of that you are impacted psychologically. Does that make sense? That's the biopsychosocial model, is this encompassing outlook of why people are the way that they are. However, it does not include spiritual, right? Spiritually, we're spirits having a human experience. So anyway, so it seems like that you are going to therapy or whatever it is that you're doing. You're working really hard on yourself, albeit I do have to say though that sometimes your focus is too much on the other person, so the person that is either running or chasing in this journey. They're just a catalyst to push you onto the right path, which is leading you to to here, this channel included, right? And it what Archangel Michael is saying, that incorporate more spirituality into your healing, so into your healing journey. So getting acupuncture is actually like a Reiki acupuncturist. They will be able to release a lot of the physical trauma that you could have received. This entertainment purposes only. I'm not saying that you're physically abused. I'm just saying that Reiki acupuncture, so someone who uses energy work in their acupuncture practice, it's a great way to heal physical trauma if you've received any physical trauma. So any like molestation, I have to censor myself, or sexual trauma growing up, that would be a great way to release those trauma through your body, because our bodies keep the score, right? The trauma that we experience, psychological trauma that we experience, are actually stored within our body. And a lot of times because of that, it is very, very difficult for you to open up even to yourself. It's difficult for you to open up emotionally to yourself and for yourself. It's difficult for you to connect to yourself because it represents pain. Being connected to yourself is painful because of all the unfinished business, honestly, generational impact. That generational dynamic, their impact on your body is very painful, and therefore it is painful for you to stay in tune and stay in touch with yourself. Does that make sense? And I have to be honest, it also seems like that you guys have like a tendency to try to control your external environment, so the people around you, in order to make yourself feel comfortable. Sorry, that's not a roast. I'm just a messenger. I'm telling you what it is I see. So for example, right, in a runner chaser dynamic, the focus is on the other person, right? Oh, if this person would have gone to therapy, if this person would have gone to AA, in energy, in an energetic world, right? That is actually your attempt to try to influence someone else in order to make yourself feel more comfortable, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. We all do that. Every single person, it's a very normal reaction. What the Archangel Michael is really saying is that turn that sort of energy onto yourself and just ignore everyone else. If you do that, that is when you can truly connect to yourself and connect to your inner being. And also, I see you like, you almost got like in, it feels like that you're here because of a certain relationship that has left a mark on you. And during this relationship, there was an unequal balance of giving or receiving. And because of that, it had led you into like a very shy place. Like you just shy away from this types of relationship, with this type of relational dynamic. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like the reason why you're here was because of some relationship, and because of that relationship, you've actually been pretty isolated and single for a long time. And because of all the generational trauma that is unresolved, and also because of this unbalanced relationship that you were in previously, or whichever relationship that you have in your mind, like the one that impacted you the most, the one that got into spirituality, right? That relationship and the generational trauma has actually covered you, covered the true you, covered who you are. And it's difficult for you to see who you are in this darkness. And when I say cover, I really mean there's a lot of anxiety experienced. Sometimes the Nine of Swords. Let's see if there's something else. I feel like even though like it's like a traumatic childhood, or like at the very least a very, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty traumatic childhood. But the way that you don't have like a victim mentality, which is really good for you. That means that's a sign of growth, because once we were victimized, we are more likely to repeat that victim circumstance. So just on ourselves, but on our own, by ourselves, right? And it's like a way to self-sabotage, and in order to repeat those types of victim circumstances, so we can be victimized again. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that like people are doing that on purpose or they're doing that consciously. It's more like a unconscious process. With that being said, it seems like that you have actually worked out a lot of those trauma, that you no longer, you're more aware of what you're doing, and you don't see yourself as a victim, or you don't repeat the victim mentality anymore. So we have the Lovers. So again, this is truly about like whatever that sent you here to this channel, or just to spirituality in general, is because of a relationship. And it also comes up, another way that you're impacted by this is that you almost feels like you have an anxious attachment, like anxious, preoccupied attachment. So it's inconsistent parenting in the past that had led you here, that there's no secure attachment to your partner or to anyone. Because when we have inconsistent parenting growing up, we inherit this internal working model. Internal working model is the blueprint that we have to see what relationships that we are comfortable being in. So for example, if childhood there's no emotional support, then again, like I was saying before, in your adult romantic relationships, you are going to be more comfortable in a relationship where you do not receive any emotional support. And we have the Page of Cups, so this is about your inner child. So you're a lot of times, so okay, all right, we got this. Okay, I got this. What Archangel Michael is saying right now is that your generational trauma and past relational trauma expresses in you in these specific ways. One of them is having a anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Look it up. It's like, if you want to Google it, it's anxious, preoccupied attachment style. And it also impacts your personal relationship or interpersonal relationship with the people around you, let it be friendship or whatnot. It's you have a very high rejection sensitivity, and those are some of the things that it will resolve on its own by itself, because I see you going on to this journey of self-discovery. So after you resolve a lot of your trauma, because you already got rid of the victim mentality, right? So the next step is to, how can I regulate my emotions better? Because once you successfully find ways to regulate your emotions properly, your rejection sensitivity will decrease. It will heal on its own, because at that point you are no longer going through this world as your inner child. It's a very interesting dynamic, because in a way you lock up your inner child so it will not get hurt, yet at the same time life circumstances constantly triggers your inner child, even though your inner child is locked away. And when that happens, it's difficult for you to regulate your emotions. Does that make sense? It's like a third-degree wound. You're walking around this world with a third-degree burn constantly while trying to heal yourself. So, that's a very admirable trait, um, to be able to go on this journey and to heal yourself to this degree, especially after you've gotten rid of the self. I'm not blaming anyone when I say self-victimizing. When I say self-victimizing, I really mean because people were victimized once, or like throughout their childhood, they unconsciously repeat the same patterns that will get them victimized again. Not their fault, not blaming the victim. It's just a pattern that we really have to look in the mirror and tell ourselves, like, do you think that you self-sabotage? Do you think that you unconsciously create situations that might get you hurt again? Because our unconscious, like our behavior unconsciously, really is a way to try to master the healing, because we're trying to heal. To repeat the same environment, same experience over and over again is our brain's unconscious attempt to heal. It's a mastery of the trauma. Does that make sense? So I'm not, there's no shame within this space. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, you self-victimize or you have a victim mentality. Shame on you, because that's not what I'm trying to convey. That's not the message I'm trying to convey, right? So if you have not yet healed from self-sabotaging tendencies, which creates a victimizing environment, if you've not yet healed that, this is your message, is that you heal that. And I see some of you have already healed that and is going to the next step, which is learn how to regulate your emotions. That's your next step. Anyway, so that is that on this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, please comment down below on how you think. Does this resonate? Does it not resonate? What kind of videos in the future do you want me to read for you? Yeah, and subscribe. Follow me on my socials. On Instagram and TikTok is KinoKRT. And it's been my pleasure to read for you. Thank you. I'm going to move to the next pile. Archangel Michael, please come down. What is it that I need to say to my viewers? What is it that they need to know? Please give me a clear-cut message. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Protect this space and allow me to connect to my viewers. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you, God. Amen. What is it that they need to hear? What is the next step of their healing? What is the next step of their healing? What is the next step of their healing? There you go. All right. Wow, okay. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. A little bit of a heavy, yeah? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Man, okay. Alright, this reading is for my yellow pile. This reading's for you. This is Kino KRT, Kino Restorative Tarot. And on this channel, I used a modernized version of biopsychosocial and spiritual model to basically read tarot cards for you guys, and to see if I can shed light into anything that is happening in your life, and to send you on your next healing journey. But please subscribe if you like if you like my content. Please do comment down below, because I really want the engagement. I want to grow my channel, I want to grow my business. With that being said, this reading is going to be a little bit intense. I'm going to give out some trigger warning of potential abuse for entertainment purposes only. Don't sue me. But I'm just saying that the cards are suggesting something that has happened in the childhood that was unwanted. And also, mainly I'll focus on the relationship that you have with your mother, because it seems like that when you were younger, right? Your mother either did not protect you from certain things, or they were just not there for you emotionally or physically. And that has led to a lot of bad things happening to you. And because of that, you are identifying with your trauma. Like, there's an overt trauma identification process going on, which again is not your fault, because what's happening is that when we were traumatized so young, during the essential phase of identity development, right? And then when we are traumatized a lot during those phases, we accidentally and unconsciously absorbs the trauma that we have received as a part of our own identity. What are the symptoms? The symptoms are, if you're having a conversation with someone, right? Does it feel difficult if you guys can just do small talks? Or do you usually talk to your friends or everyone around you about trauma related topics. Like, for example, my mother did this to me, I'm triggered, or this person did that to me, I'm triggered, right? So that is one of the symptoms of trauma over identification. It's like your whole world is being encompassed by trauma because that's all you know. That, and I'm not blaming you, this is not victim blaming or anything, I'm just saying that because I have this card here, and that is telling me that some of the symptoms that could occur due to this card. I'm just reading the cards, right? It feels like that you isolate yourself a lot. You don't. There's no like. You don't go out a lot. You keep it to yourself most likely, and this is also. It feels like that you have some challenges with rumination, so always thinking back to the past, and that can cause depression, right? Rumination can cause depression. So I'm literally I'm not diagnosing you. I'm just saying because of these cards and the combination of these cards, there are certain traits that are being reviewed right now. It Here's one good thing. Although it feels like that you're not getting anywhere, but you're actually moving where you're supposed to go. You're on the right direction. If you're not in therapy, please do see a therapist. That could be your next step of your healing process, is to really talk to a therapist. If you do have therapist, one of the things that should be talked about within the therapeutic sessions, within the therapeutic setting, is the relationship that you have with your inner child. The way it feels like that you're very critical of your inner child all the time, so it's overt self-criticism. And that is, you really need to remember, when those voices of criticism happens in your mind, those voices don't belong to you. It was never there. It was not your voice, but it is a byproduct of how much criticism you have received growing up. Mom was not a very emotionally warm mother. They're more likely to criticize you than to be there for you. It could have been, and again, for entertainment purposes only, do not sue me. I'm just reading the cards. The cards are saying, when you were younger, you wished that mom or any like motherly figure, could have been a dad who's very feminine, but for the most of you, you wish that mom would have been there to nurture you and to take care of you more. But instead, mom was very critical. It's like you scrape it. I'll give you an example. If you're going through something, right? Mom is not the first person you go to, because they will not encourage you verbally. They will not say, "Oh, sweetie, that's really terrible that you're going through this, but I'm here for you and I love you." That's not what mom would do. She's more likely to criticize you and say, "Well, then why did you do this? You brought this on by yourself. You're doing your self-sabotage." She's more likely to tell you stuff like that. And also, one of the other things that Archangel Michael is saying is that because there's overt trauma identification, because trauma has been a part of your core identity for so long, sometimes you do remain in situations that are not good for you for way too long. So, for example, a friendship, right? Because of the trauma over identification, there's a low self-esteem. And because there's a low self-esteem, there's a possibility of you staying and keeping friends with people who might not actually care about you at all. If anything, they might be critical of you. They don't care about you the way that you deserve to be cared about. And those circumstances really create like almost like a victimizing environment. So in a way, because of the past, because of how you were treated in the past, there's some issues with what core identities are, and self-esteem, and that has led you to be attracted to situations and environments that will more than likely re-victimize you again. And I'm not saying that, this is your fault. I'm not saying that this is not victim blaming. I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm just saying that because of consequences A, B, and C, because of what has ever happened, this is the situation that you might attract, right? They're also saying that I kind of feel bad. I'm sorry. How about this? How can I say this? You can get out of this. It is possible. Although it might feel like that you're not going anywhere with your healing, but you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing to heal. Because I see you healing. I see you heal. So intimacy might be something that is triggering for you, like a close, like in the bedroom intimacy, because of something that has happened in the past. And I'm not gonna lie, like this really feels like someone with complex PTSD. I'm not diagnosing you, I'm just saying the energy feels like the energy of someone who were once diagnosed or is diagnosed with complex PTSD, especially with the self-isolation and stuff like that. There's a huge mistrust of you and other people, so you don't trust other people. Well, simultaneously, right? I think it is because you never had the restorative experience to heal your mother wound. A part of you is almost codependent on other people to regulate your emotions. So, for example, if you're in a really bad romantic relationship, right? Like I'm not calling you out. Like when I say codependent, it's not from a place of judgment. I'm just saying that the behavior. You are not your behavior, right? Just because you have done something does not mean that you are that person. Does that make sense? You're not your behaviors. I'm just straight up saying that, for example, like how sometimes we can feel like other people are responsible for the way that we feel in a relationship. If this person has done X, Y, and Z and it triggers us, sometimes we might think that this person is responsible for triggering us. They're responsible for how we feel, when in reality, this trigger is something that we need to work through. Other people are not responsible to to step on eggshells around us, because we are actually responsible to restore and heal our own trauma. And it seems like that you really are struggling or has struggled in the past with whatever relationship that we had with mom. And also I don't feel like your mom protected you much when you were younger. You really the warmth factor of motherhood was really lacking. I'm not sure what happened to mom in order to make her feel this way, but it does seem like that you look back to the past and think about stuff like this quite often. And because of that, it's very difficult for you to integrate yourself into normal social situations. So there's a lack of trust to people. And yeah, but I do see you going on this healing journey. You're here for a reason, right? I think that this channel attracts people who are in their restorative journey, in their recovery journey. And to be fair, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that you have a relationship coming up rather quickly. Like there's someone who really wants to be with you, wants to almost I don't want to say take care of you or mother you, because that's really codependent, but you attract people who wants to take care of you. But I don't see you being very open to these people due to a lack of trust. Does that make sense? So it's not like you're single and you're looking for someone who's not coming. You actually do have options here. It's just that due to this lack of trust, it's difficult for you to be intimate with people, let it be emotionally, physically, or in the bedroom. Like, it's like hugging is not something that you're too comfortable with. Like hugging someone, showing physical touch as a love language, that's probably something that might not make you feel comfortable. So yeah. A couple of things. What's next on the healing journey, right? One of them is trauma over identification. That is something that we really need to, if you want to, right? We really need to look into the mirror and ask ourselves, is trauma, being traumatized, a core part of my identity? And if it is, then this trauma over identification might lead to other behaviors within your life that might further isolate you and create mistrust within you, and in the worst case scenario, repeat environments that could re-traumatize you. Does that make sense? Like, sometimes because we have identified with our trigger so much, with our trauma so much, that it's very easy to trigger us. And once we're triggered, right, it's difficult for us to be with someone. Like, for example, like a friend triggers you. What's happening is that if we over-identify with a trauma, when that happens, we're more likely to cut off the friendship altogether. And the way that we internalize that is that people are mistrustful. This friend has betrayed me, something like that. And all of this is happening because of trauma over identification. I'm not like trying to like roast anyone or call anyone out. I'm just saying this is what's happening. This is what the cards are saying. And, in a way, I really have to be honest, guys. I've been there. I know people who are still in there. And this is not me judging. I know how it feels. It's a scary world out there when you're in this type of headspace. The world is dangerous. The world is scary. You don't want to interact with anyone, and you're happy just on your own by yourself. And you just look back to what has happened to you quite often, and that really causes depression. That causes depressive symptoms. It's very depressogenic. Rumination is very depressogenic, right? I've been there. It's difficult to heal from this. It really is. It's difficult to heal, especially when you think that the world is dangerous and you can't trust people. But at the end of the day, other people are not responsible for our trauma healing, for our trauma recovery. We are responsible for that. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope I'm not coming across as too harsh. Because this is not a space of judgment. We're not judging anyone here, because we've all been there. We've all done that. Some of us might still be there. And we have a choice to heal. We have the agency and the autonomy to heal, especially when you're so intelligent and capable. Because I see the two queens here. I see the Queen of Pentacles and I see the Queen of Swords. Very, very capable in career-wise, and you're very intelligent, very analytical. You might be a Virgo. I don't know. Some of you might be a Virgo, right? And I just want to give you like a take-home message to be in an empowering moment, is that we have the agency to decide whatever narrative we're telling ourselves. And because of in cognitive behavioral therapy, we call it ABC, the antecedent and the behavior and the consequences. So if we think that people are not worthy of our trust, or people are bad, then we're going to behave as if this person has already betrayed our trust. And we're not going to get close to people. And the consequence is ABC, right? The consequence is that we further isolate ourselves. when in reality, this is not who we are. It truly is not. It's a journey to discover who we are underneath all of this trauma, and it's a very difficult journey to make. And I mean, my dudes, I understand. It's difficult to heal. It really is. Been there, done that. But here's the thing, right? Once we separate our identity from trauma, the person that we are, when that person surfaces, it is extremely rewarding. It truly is. You'll notice things about yourself that you never noticed before. And it's a very empowering journey. Anyway, so this channel is built because I want to support people on their own recovery journey. Oh my god, I'm like getting emotional. I'm about to cry. In their own trauma recovery journey. And you are, this is so cliche, but you're not alone as you might feel. You have resources around you and social support. And I hope, really, I'm not like being harsh or anything, because this is not a judgmental space. You know what I mean? And you got this. You have what it takes to change, to have that agency of change. It is scary to live in fear like this. It is scary to always look back to what has happened to you before. It's triggering. Things are triggering. You deserved better. You deserved caretakers who support you and nurtures you. You do not deserve to be criticized. And you do not deserve to be criticized by yourself. Those critical voices, they do not belong to you. They belong to someone else. It's just like a repeat of what has happened to you when you were younger. That's not who you are. Your pain is not who you are. Our suffering is not who we are. We are not our sufferings. We are who we are. And this is about a journey to discover who this person is underneath all of this suffering, all of this trauma, all of this pain. All right, anyway, thank you for staying here with me. This is Kino KRT. Please subscribe to this channel if you like my content. It's a sensitive topic, so I understand if you don't want to comment, but give me a thumbs up. Send me a message on any of my socials. Instagram or TikTok. Both of them are as Kino KRT, Kino KRT. So I'm actually really interested in your story. I am very curious about your story, what has happened. If you don't feel comfortable commenting, that's fine. I'm just saying that, I want to hear what your story is, where you are on this journey, where you plan to go on, next step on this journey. Anyway, guys, thank you for coming. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.